Vanakkam. Now, our ICA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has started to give importance for peer review. And I am going to cover the peer review subject step by step. And this will be useful to all the members because we must know what is peer review and where we stand. So, what peer review means? Peer review means it's a review of work done by a professional. So it is not done by outsiders and it has to be made by another member of the same profession. A chartered accountant has to conduct a peer review on another chartered accountant and with a similar standing. What's a similar standing? That similar standing is being defined by ICA. So peer review means the work done by one professional is being scrutinized by another person, another member who is also a member. So of the same profession. And peer review in general, we can say that it's being controlled, managed by peer review board. Hereinafter, we have to call it as board. Board here means it's a peer review board. And this board was established in March 2002 by ICA. That is, this board was established by ICA in the month of March 2002. And peer review, entire thing is being controlled by way of statement. The statement lays down the framework to conduct peer reviews and other matters related or incidental that. So we have to go through the statement carefully and we have to do the audit as per the statement, and we will discuss all this in the other session. And this statement on peer review was revised in the month of April 2020. That is, April 2020 statement controls the peer review operations. And the peer review statement of April 2020 gives importance for coverage of practice unit. We will discuss what is practice unit on a later part, and what are the powers of the peer review board, and who are eligible to be appointed as a reviewer, because it's also another professional opportunity available to the chartered accountant. If you become a reviewer, then that is also another area wherein you will get professional opportunity. And peer review board, they conduct the examination. They conduct the examination and those persons who are qualified in the examination are eligible to become the reviewers. So conducting test examination for empanelment of reviewers and revocation of peer review certificate. Yes, peer review certificate has already been issued by the peer board, but this can be revoked. What are the situations that we will discuss on a later part? And the peer review fees also are fixed, because the peer review board, they fix the fees. What is the peer review fees? For that, that's a slab based on the receipts earned by the profession, by the professional. That we will see what are all they at the later part of the presentation. And what are the quality of the peer reviewer? All accounting bodies in the entire world, they used to adopt the peer review technique. And if you follow the peer review technique, and you will get the very quality services, and this quality service will definitely be provided by the professional. That is, this peer review is the base to increase or to improve the quality of services of all the professionals. That is, here in our ICA, the quality of services of chartered accountant is being given importance by ICA. So that is also another thing that we have to see. And peer review gains importance at and by ICA, because the ICA has already decided only by giving importance to peer review, then the professional services, professional quality services will improve. And what's the peer review board? So that they define in the statement point 3.6a, they say that it means board constituted by the council in terms of the statement from time to time. So it's a board constituted by ICA, by the council. And PRB, that is peer review board, here we will call it as board, and board constituted by ICA from time to time. So it's a board, and this is subject to change. Members are not permanent, and they are all subject to change. This is a very, very important thing. Board is the elected council members. They come. They can be the member of peer review board, but they are subject to change from time to time. What is peer review? What they define peer review? Peer review means examination review of the system and procedures to determine whether the same have been put in place of practice unit. So here they use the word practice unit for ensuring the quality of assurance services. So quality of assurance service. So assurance services as envisaged by technical, professional, and ethical standards as applicable. So they say that they are giving importance for technical, professional, ethical standards, and including other regulatory, that means all the regulatory authorities also they need. If the peer review has to be conducted, it has to be conducted, and whether the same were consistently applied during the period of review. So period under review. So these are the important terms that you can observe from this. What is that? Is examination review of the system and procedures. This is the first thing that you can know, you should know about the peer review. And it has to be followed by practice unit. What is a practice unit? We'll see later. And ensure the quality of assurance in technical, professional, and ethical standards, and follow in the other regulatory requirements. If other regulatory authorities, they want the peer review to be conducted on the charter accounting, it has to be conducted and consistently applied during the period of. What is the period of review? That is also we'll discuss on a later part. And now, what is a practice unit? This is a very, very important thing that you should know. What is a practice unit? Means a firm of CA, or member in practice, a firm of CA or member in practice. That is firm of CA in practice, member in practice, practicing whether in individual or trade name or such other entity as recognized by ICA from time to time. So this is units. These are all called as practice units. So we'll go. So it's a practicing CA forms and practicing in individual name and practicing in other entity, say in the form of LLP, and practice in trade name, say Ravindran and Co. This is a Ravindran and Co. That also you can say, and all these should be recognized by ICA. So these are included in the definition of practice units. So firm, whether you are firm or individual name, or if they are practicing in other entity, that is latest, they say that in LLP also you can do the practice, and practice in trade name, and all are recognized by ICA. And who is a reviewer? Reviewer, that term you should also know. Reviewer means a person duly approved and empaneled by board on fulfilling the qualification prescribed for a reviewer. So here they say that the member, you should be a chartered accountant, and you should have got the empanelment with the board, and for that empanelment you should have a qualification that is being prescribed by the board as a reviewer. And what are the things that you should know? What is the eligibility to become a peer reviewer? Because this is going to be another professional opportunity available to the chartered accountant. And for this, please refer 10 of the statement of peer review board. And here I've said about level 1 practice unit and level 2 practice unit. We will see what is level 1, we will see what is level 2 on a later part. And to conduct the peer review for level 1 and level 2, member in practice is a must. So only a member who is in a practice, he can do it. And the minimum number of years of practice for level 1 is 10 years. That is, the chartered accountant should be a member in practice for 10 years. And if he wants to do the level 2 peer review, he should be a member for 7 years. Sometimes a member can move from employment or industry to practice. So they are also eligible to be appointed as a peer reviewer, provided he should be in the employment or industry for a period of at least 15 years and practice for at least 5 years. That is 15 years of employment and 5 years on practice. They are eligible to do the peer review for level 1 units, level 1 practice units. And for level 2, it is at least minimum of at least 10 years of employment and 3 years of practice. So this is an important thing that you should know. And you should go both the members who are in practice or in employment, if they want to come and do the peer review, they should undergo a training conducted by PRB, peer review board, and they have to pass the peer review examination conducted by IC. So now this is a basic condition that if you want to become a peer review, you have to undergo a training, and it has to be conducted by PRB, that is peer review board, and that training is also being because PRB is part of ICA, they are giving the training, and you have to clear the examination of peer review examination conducted by the ICA. And others are, that is conduct or audit. So he should be in the audit for the year 7 years, at least minimum 7 years. Then he is eligible to have level 1 practice unit order, a peer review, and he is an existing peer review man. Then the auditor should have got the 7 years. So 7 years the base based on which you will be eligible to do the level 1 practice unit. And to get your unit registered, get your peer reviewer registration, you have to furnish a declaration. The form is being prescribed by the board, and in both the cases of level 1 and level 2, and the declaration of confidentiality is also a must for level 1 and level 2 by the peer reviewer. And experience is cumulative and not continuous in point 3. What is point 3? Point 3 is, that is, if he is moving from employment and industry, then started his own practice, say 3 years in employment, 1 year break, then 4 years in employment, then 2 years break, then 10 years in employment, then 1 year break, then he is having some 7 years of practice continuously. So here the experience is cumulative, that is, you can add 3 plus 2 plus 5 plus 10. In that manner you can do it, but it need not be continuous. That is a basic condition. So any member who has come from the practice, from the employment, they have to be, they have to concentrate on point number 9. And if audit experience is less than 2 years for point 9, that is the audit experience, so he has come out from the industry, but the audit experience is less than 2 years, then they will not be considered for as a peer reviewer. See, these are the basic eligibility norms based on which one can get the peer reviewer appointment. And non-eligibility to become, what are the these persons are not eligible to be appointed as peer reviewer. That is, if any disciplinary action is pending, that is action proceeding is pending. That means if the ICA has already issued a notice to the member that why don't we take action against you, that is a proceeding pending. So he is not eligible to become a peer reviewer. And if he has been found guilty of professional or other misconduct by the council or board of discipline or the disciplinary committee at any time, suppose if he had served the disciplinary action some 10 years back, then there also he is not eligible to be appointed as the peer reviewer. And if he has been convicted by a competent court, whether within India or outside India, of an offence involving moral turpitude. What is moral turpitude? That is an act or behavior that gravely violates the sentiment or accepted standard of the community, or the quality of dishonesty or other immorality that is determined by the court to be present in the commission or criminal offence. So that means if he has already been punished, then he is not liable to be appointed as the peer reviewer. And if he or his partners have any obligation or conflict of interest in practice units. Suppose if he is indirectly or directly has got some interest in that practice unit, then he is not eligible to be appointed as peer reviewer for that practice unit. So if he has undergone training or articleship under any of the partner of the practice unit, suppose if the practice unit has got 7 partners, and if the member is an article clerk of any one of the partner of the practice unit, then he is not eligible to be appointed as the peer reviewer. That's another important thing that you have to see. What is the real scope of the peer review? That you have to see. Then apply to all assurance engagements of a practice unit. What are the assurance engagements? That we will see decide later. Then once a peer review, practice unit is selected for peer review, its assurance engagement records pertaining to peer review, all the assurance engagement records are subject to review by the peer reviewer. Then review shall cover. What are the important things that review has to cover? The compliance of technical, professional, and ethical standards. What is technical? What is professional? What is ethical? That we will see later. Here, the review shall cover compliance of technical, professional, ethical standards and quality of reporting. How the auditor has reported his audit report, that also you have to see, and system and procedures for carrying out the assurance services. Is there any, say, suppose if an auditor is being appointed, then have you got the appointment letter, and whether have you conveyed the same thing to the previous auditor? So everything will be there. You have to follow all the systems and procedures for carrying out the assurance services. And these are the three important services, important things that you have to see, that a peer reviewer has to conduct, has to follow this. And fourth one is training program for staff, that is including article assistant staff, audit assistants concerned with assurance functions, including availability of appropriate infrastructure. So you have got a article clerk and you should provide him proper infrastructure, and you have to give him all the program to the article clerk and audit assistant. So this will definitely improve the quality of these services of a chartered accountant. And compliance with the directions and the guidelines issued by council to the members, including fees to be charged. What are the fees to? Suppose if the insured say that you have to receive only 20,000 fees, you are not supposed to go and get 50,000 rupees for the same services. So what is the number of audits undertaken? Suppose if you are permitted to do the 60 audits, then you have to do only 60 audits. If you cross 60 audits, then that will be covered in the peer review, and the peer reviewer has to report the same. And register of assurance engagements conducted during the year and such other related records. And compliance with the directions and guidelines issued by the company. So that is, a member has to follow all the guidelines, all the directions issued by the council in relation to article assistants and assistants, audit staff, audit attendants, including the attendance register, work diaries, stipend payments, and all such other records. Nothing but you have to produce, you have to maintain all the article records properly. So that are also, all the records are also subject to peer review. And peer review period. Now we have to see what is a peer review period. Peer review period means 3 years preceding the year in which the practice unit is selected. 3 years preceding. What is that? Suppose if in 2022-23, if your firm is liable for peer review, then they say that preceding 3 years. That is, you have to commence from 2019-20 to 2020-22. That is up to the date of selection, the date up to which you are to do the peer review. So up to that date, the period is being selected. So all these 3 years records you have to produce to the peer reviewer. So a member has to be very, very careful. Suppose if you are a practice unit, and if your practice unit PU is subject to peer review, then you have to produce all the 3 years records for the verification to the peer reviewer. Such other period, suppose if the council say that, okay, we want more period, we want less period, even we want some extended period, then the peer reviewer has to do it. So this is a peer review period means. This is a means. So 3 years preceding the year in which practice unit is selected. This is important that you should remember. Peer review process is directed at the assurance services for what? Used interchangeably by the practice unit, say in the form of audit service or attested function, audit function. So all these are part of the peer review verification. So what is the audit service that our firm has given, and what is the attested function, what is the audit function, everything that will be covered by the peer review. And assurance engagement issued by ICA means. So what is the assurance engagement? Issued by ICA means an engagement in which a practitioner expresses a conclusion designed to enhance a degree of confidence of the intended users other than the responsible party for the outcome of the evaluation or measurement of a subject matter against the criteria, but does not improve. See, that means you are reporting not only to the responsible party, but based on that, if anyone acts, so you are responsible. So it's an engagement. This is called as assurance engagement, but assurance engagement does not include what? Management consultancy engagements, representation before various authorities, engagements to prepare tax returns or advising clients in tax assessment. All this will not be included in the definition of assurance engagement. and engagement for the compilation of the financial statements, and engagement solely to assist the client in preparing, compiling, or collecting information other than the financial statement. So financial statement, preparation of financial statement is part of assurance engagement. But for this 5 years, other than financial statement, that is engagement of solely to assist the client in preparing, compiling, or collecting information is not a part of assurance engagement. Then testifying as an expert witness. Suppose if you are called and if you are asked to stand as a witness, then that is not part of the assurance engagement. Then providing expert opinion on the points of principle, such as accounting standards or the applicability of certain laws on the basis of facts provided by the client. And next one is engagement of due diligence. All this will not be covered and part of the assurance engagement. So this is a thing that you should know. Next one is we are going to concentrate on technical, professional, and ethical standard, because we are going very slowly. We are I'm explaining what is it. What does it mean? So accounting standard issued by ICA that are applicable for entities. Accounting standard issued by AS issued by ICA other than the companies one, and AS prescribed under section 133 of Companies Act of 2013 and issued on the recommendation of ICA in consultation with NEFRA and notified as AS rules of 2006 and amended from time to time. So these are clearly defined, as a part of the definition of technical, professional, and ethical standard. And Indian AS prescribed 133 of CA Companies Act of 2013 by central government on the recommendation of ICA in consultation with NEFRA and notified as Companies AS rules of 2015 and amended from time to time. It's very, very simple. AS issued by ICA other than the company and company. So this you have to see. For companies, you have to see section 133 of Companies Act of 2013, and it has to be done in consultation with NEFRA. And those are standards issued by ICA, including now the standards. Now ICA started to issue, and it is inclusive of engagement and quality control standards, statements, guidance notes, standards on internal audit, and guidelines, notification, directions, announcements, pronouncements, professional standards issued from time to time by the council or any of its committees. And other definition is framework for the preparation and presentation of financial statement. That's why we already said other than assurance, other than the financial statement, they said now they included the presentation, preparation of financial statement here, and prefers to the standard on quality control, auditing review, assurance, and related services and framework for assurance engagements. And provisions of various relevant statutes. That is, you should know all the rules and regulations of all laws. Suppose if you are doing PF Act, if your audit is subject to PF Act, then you have to follow that. And if it comes under the factory side, you have to follow that act also. So provisions of various relevant statutes or rules or regulations which are applicable in the context of the specific engagements being reviewed, including instructions, guidelines, notification, directions issued by the regulatory authorities as covered in the scope of assurance engagement. Suppose if you are asked to do the peer review as per SEBI, you have to follow it. Suppose if you are asked to do the peer review as per Factories Act, you have to do it. So all the regulatory authorities can also direct their peer review work. And reviewer has to focus on what? So now we have been appointed as a reviewer. So what you have to focus? So it's a compliance by practice unit with all technical, professional, ethical standards, because you have to give a specific report for technical, professional, ethical standards. All are being followed by the practice units, and with respect to services while performing a particular engagement. So while performing a particular engagement, the practice unit have to follow all technical, professional, ethical standards. And what are all technical, professional, ethical standards, we will see on the later point of the presentation, but these are the basic things. And now we are going to the objective of peer review. What is the objective of peer review? One is the members to ensure compliance of technical, professional, ethical standards including other regulatory requirements, and members to have proper system, including docs. So that means you should the member should have maintained a proper documentation about his work, so that work will be called as quality of assurance services. And peer review seeks to ensure that steps are implemented in letter and spirit. So peer review seeks that yes, all technical, professional, and ethical standards have been followed by the practice unit correctly. And what's the net effect of objective? What is the net effect of objectives? That is, when you follow the peer review, that is, it improves the quality of services rendered by the members of the profession, say chartered accountant. And peer review does not seek to redefine the scope of tests specified by the council, but seeks to enforce them with the parameters. And next one is peer review enhances the quality of assurance services. So they are improving the quality of services. Now quality of assurance services and provide guidance to the members to improve their performance and adherence to various statutory and other regulatory requirements. Very, very simple. Suppose if they peer review boards say that these are the things that you have, whether you have followed these 4 rules, then automatically members, they have to follow these rules. If there is no question, no member will follow. So the quality is being insisted by peer review questions, and you have to do the practice as per the questions that they have asked. So that will definitely improve the quality of these services. And reviewer is not going to sit on this judgment of peer review. Why you do this? That is not the question of the reviewer. He has to see whether the unit has followed or not. If the unit has not followed, PU has not followed, then you have to say that the unit has not followed. And he should not sit on the judgment of the practice unit while rendering assurance services, but evaluate the procedures followed by the PU practice unit in rendering such a service. So you should not sit, you should not direct. So you should not sit on the judgment of practice unit, because that the situation may differ at the time of practice. So reviewer is expected to recommend measures to improve the procedures followed by. So the reviewer can also give suggestion to the practice unit to improve the quality of these services. So that is what they expected from the reviewer. And instead of pointing out the deficiencies, peer reviews to enhance the quality of assurance services by providing appropriate guidance. So instead of saying that no, this is wrong, instead the peer review can, they say that it can be done in this manner. So it is a suggestive mode. It's a suggestive mode, a recommendative mode to improve the quality of these services. And peer review is to identify the weakness that are pervasive and chronic in nature. So peer review is also another role of peer review is that the practice that it identifies the weakness of the practice unit. And absence of format of proper planning is weakness, but non-verification of furniture and fittings physically is not that much of weakness. We can say that if there is no proper planning, then that is a weakness of the unit. But I have not gone for the physical verification of furniture, but it is not of a serious nature. So it is not defined as weakness. So absence of format of proper planning. So it is indirectly, it means that all the practice units should have a proper planning to carry out the profession. Where the peer review certificate cannot be issued by the board, the same shall be informed to practice unit along with the reasons and due date for follow-up on the review and complete the same on the date. Because on completion of the peer review, the peer reviewer, he has to submit the report to the PRB, that is peer review board. Then board has to issue the certificate. If they refuse to issue the certificate, then the board will give, board has to give a proper reason why we have not issued this. And if we rectify this, we will issue the certificate. That is also possible. So in that, they will mention the due date. So before that due date, the practice unit, they have to comply with the terms and conditions. Now, the certificate has already been issued by the board, but they are going to revoke it. Why? Because of practice unit has not complied with the order or advisory of the peer review board. Suppose if the peer review board say that you have to follow this, and if the practice unit has not followed, then the same may be cancelled or revoked by the PRB, peer review board. The follow and review has been initiated by PRB on the recommendation of peer reviewer, and where a practice unit has not complied with the recommendation. That is, Peer reviewer has given suggestion, recommendation to PRB, and the same is being communicated to practice unit, and the practice unit has not complied with the recommendation thereof. Then at that stage also the peer review cancellation, that is a peer review certificate, can also be cancelled by the board. And peer review board receives any direction. Suppose if the secretary of ICA, they say that no, this PRB peer review certificate has to be cancelled, then the board has to act accordingly. That is, if any directions, if it's being received from secretary of ICA and other committees of ICA, including disciplinary directorate, or compliant from any other regulatory through the ICA, that is straight away the secretary can give directions, and other committees, including disciplinary committee, compliant, and suppose if any complaints has been received from the regulator, everything has to route through the secretary of ICA and council. So these are the introduction part that we have discussed, and this is what I want to say about the peer review thing. And we will go in depth of all the peer review importance in the next presentation. And thank you very much for watching this program. Nandri, Vanakkam.